Spinnings. Ladies and gentlemen, this is David Mirikitani with another episode of Weighing In. We are brought to you by Nike Wrestling. Go to athleteps.com for all of your Nike gear. We are brought to you by Jocko Fuels. Energy drinks, hydration drinks, protein drinks. They got it all and much, much more. Use Panda15 at checkout if you want a discount. Pure and Clean Sports. We're getting back on the mats. First day of school for a lot of people. Make sure your school or you have those products so you can stay clean and able to exercise. And also by Resolite, speaking of getting on the mats, the best mats in the business, Resolite.com. Matt Gilbert and company over there doing a great job. Joined today by Mark Ostrander, Grant Turner. Grant, Mark was 2 seconds away from being right with the 5 champs prediction.
You know, I think there's a old state fair saying, close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades, my friend.
That is so true, Grant. And yeah.
Epic showing by the US, and Mark had it pegged the entire time. Like,
we're teasing him, but it was unbelievable, right?
Yeah, it was one of the best performances I've ever seen by 10 individuals going out there and all 10 getting a medal, 7 in the finals. If I would have told you that there was going to be 7 in the finals and all 10 were going to get a medal, you guys would have thought I was absolutely nuts, because it doesn't happen at the Worlds. It just doesn't happen.
No, I mean, okay, just for people that maybe watch us or other people to catch up, 4 golds, 3 silvers, 3 bronze. Okay. So America, I don't want to say we lost 6 matches total. Okay, 3 in the finals and 3 somewhere along the way. So, you know, like, that's insane. It was probably like 34-6, something nuts like that. And several of the matches they lost were close. I mean, like, Drayshawn got beat by 4 or 5 points, but, I mean, and they won a lot of close matches too, okay? I don't want to be that guy, okay?
Sure.
This isn't like the under 20 Pan Ams where America went 38-0 with 34 tech falls and falls, okay? Like, it's, you know, it's both sides of it, but it's unbelievable. Do we want to go by weight class? Do we want to go by champions? Do we want to talk about the most epic match of the tournament, which was Yoshida against Jaden James in the finals at 74 kilos, which is, again, all my metric people, it's 162.8-ish, basically 163 pounds. Mark, I know you were with family. Did you get a chance to watch the match?
I did. I watched it when I got home. I was driving home during it, so when I got back home, I got to watch it. James wrestled really well in the first 3 minutes. I thought he was controlling the situation, what was going on out there. He hit a beautiful duck. Actually, the same move that he got beat on with 2 seconds left. So it was very similar. But he kind of quit in the, you know, once he got that lead, he kind of shut down a little bit. Really let the underhook affect him. Because that's what Japan was using on him. But, yeah, I mean, Jaden James is really, really good. And he's going to be mentioned in 2028 when we have our Olympic run here in the United States. He's going to be one of the guys that you're going to have to beat to make the team. But there's a lot of good guys. So that's the nice thing about the United States.
There could technically be 4 Penn State guys in the Olympic trials at 74 kilos that are legit, with Duke, Messenbrink, Jaden James, and if Levi Haynes goes down, to, you know, down versus up. I mean, that's absurd. So, GT, I don't know what you were doing this weekend. I know you weren't halfway across the world, I don't think. So that's a nice change for you. Let's talk about this Jaden James first, and then I'll just run through my weights and people can, you know, we can have our commentary. But that match to me was, it's kind of what wrestling at the highest level is, what you want to see, right? And you don't see it enough, like, hey, you're really good, I'm really good, hypothetically. We're going to play the shot clock game. I'm going to try to control the center and get you to the edge, vice versa. These two kids just let it freaking rip, right?
Well, I think as you guys, I mean, I would say probably at these age group categories, you get to see a little bit more, I would say, a little bit more wide open wrestling, because I think there's less influence on like how good their defense is. So I think you're getting more like offensive action, because I think their shutdown defense isn't quite perfected quite yet. So you're seeing a lot of 13-4, 13-12, 20-18 type matchups at age group category worlds, along with, your tech falls, because I think once again, there's this disparity amongst talent sometimes, but you're getting to see people kind of, go full bore on their offense and getting to like these epic matches. Like I'm reminded of, Makhmadov versus Kamal Bey for the world title, where it was like, that's what Greco looks like when people just go out and grip it and rip it. And then you have some of these freestyle matches that like get like that, where it's last second 13-12 type match. But I think you're getting to see a lot of people at very young age group categories perfect their offensive action, but I think that like their defense isn't quite there yet.
And from a coaching standpoint, that's probably good, right? Because if you teach these young kids just how to shut people down, it's harder later to develop your offense. Like if you have kids that can go get it, even if like Jaden James can go get it, the other Yoshida just went and gone and got it. But it's easier to teach defense, I think, on the back end. It's almost easier like to teach a curveball or changeup if you have a heater, if you can throw it 98 and go get to legs. The athleticism of that match, guys, I love, like, the step overs, the cartwheels, the peek outs. There was some super non-traditional, non-old school, but now super valid techniques. But techniques of the last 5 and 10 years that you're seeing, and sort of to complement Grant's points, these guys aren't fully developed. They're 20 years old at the oldest. One of the things that was mentioned in the USA Wrestling article is all 10 members of the team were first-time members of the U20 team, which is absurd. Like what Mark said, if you had said they would got 10 medals, if you had just said they got 10 bronze medals, okay, just 10 bronze medals. Like, come on, bro. Well, the over-under on medals is 9.5, and you take the over. And they're all first-timers. Just nuts. Marco, anything about that match before we kind of just go through?
No, I mean, I think I covered it where I think he just kind of shut down. We as a United States, obviously, but James just kind of shut down in the second period. It was all Japan doing all the things. My son did say something to me. He goes, when we watched the Olympics back in 24 or whenever it was, I don't know if it was a delayed year or what, but I think it was,
it was 24.
24. And Japan had that great performance in wrestling, and they did. They were phenomenal. Yes. And the United States was saying, what do we got to do? What do we got to do to pass these guys? What are they doing that we're not doing? Well, now, I guess my question is, after Japan, and they had a good junior 20 team, and they wrestled well, but they were a long ways from the United States. I wonder, if they're in their wrestling realm there, if they're thinking, what do we have to do to catch America now? Because they ran through this tournament.
I think U23s and seniors probably have a lot to say about it, right? Like if Japan wins the senior world by 50 points, then you're like, okay, well, we're still good at the very top level. Maybe our developmental guys are behind America's developmental guys. I talked to Sergei Belglazov one time, and he said that they have a booklet in Russia, or at least they did years ago, and everybody teaches the same system. And, in America, that doesn't happen. Like,
no.
KD and TJ Siebold are not teaching things the same way, even the same sequences, whatever. Some things are probably similar, but they're not intentionally similar. Maybe that's a better way to say it. And so I think it's interesting just to see how other countries train, the mindset, the actual implementation, but to be fair, USA Wrestling puts all these guys in singlets and uniforms, but these guys are not cross-training with each other.
No.
Like Virginia Tech had 3 guys on the team. They're working out with each other in the Virginia Tech team. The same with Jaden James and Penn State. The same with the 2 Oklahoma State kids. The same with Cortez and Cornell, St. Clair and Missouri, Boyle, and I'm sure he was getting up to Ohio State. We need to talk about Boyle. That dude is unbelievable. Jimmy Masney's a junior, going to be a senior, probably a senior in high school right now.
Yep.
Who lives in Illinois.
Boyle's a senior in
high school. Yeah, I agree. But like Jimmy Masney only been wrestling, Chris Perry plus, he's been wrestling freestyle for 2 years. That was kind of the differentiate. Like he's been wrestling, so I don't know if he's training in Illinois, if he's going up to Iowa State, both. But there's not a lot of, hey, we're all training in Colorado Springs kind of thing. So I think what it says is there's a bunch of amazing places around the country, which I think we know, but you see the results that they're developing world-class athletes. And all 10 of these guys are now world-class athletes if they weren't already. Okay. Like some of them had already won medals and made world teams before, but some of them hadn't. And they all lost at the most one match. So, all right, let's talk about it. We'll go through by weight class rather than day of order. I think that's gets a little wonky, at least for my brain. So Isaiah Cortez, which I think a lot of people didn't pick to place, round of 16, 13-2, quarterfinal 6-0, semifinal 4-3 over Rashidov, 8-4 final loss to Magomedov. First of all, GT, can we just acknowledge so far I'm doing pretty good on the pronunciations?
Keep it up, brother.
He's like, I'm waiting till we get to he's like, he's seen the scorebook. We'll see how far I can make it. But really, really good tournament by Cortez. And it's interesting because, originally Knox was supposed to go to Cornell and now he's not. Now the Cortez brothers are going to most likely start. GT, he's got to be considered to be an All-American contender immediately at 125 if you can, you can make the finals of U20s, right?
Well, I think, once again, the biggest thing stylistically, freestyle versus folk style. Some guys are really good at folk style. Some guys are really good at freestyle. It's very rare that you have like somebody that's just world class at both styles, like at that age group. Like it'll be interesting to see how that transitions. Once again, a lot of on your feet wrestling and all these other things, but making the world finals, I mean, that means that you got a lot of, I would say positional awareness. I don't know how that would then necessarily translate to folk style in his, whatever, is it going to be his freshman year?
Yeah. He did the JUCO thing.
Got it. Well, I think that's part of it, right? So I would probably put him in, All-American contention.
Yeah.
As somebody that's just, hey, you might want to circle him in the bracket a little bit, just if you get a chance to see him.
He'd be one of those guys, if you're doing a contest and you pick a guy who's not in the preseason rankings, and if they don't rank a kid that didn't wrestle last year, like he's a freebie if you're in one of those point systems, right, Mark?
Yeah. Yeah, he was impressive. And he actually wrestled really well in the finals. He was getting in, he just wasn't able to finish, on the Russian. So
Magomedov. Help do it with me.
I can't pronounce any of these names, David. I'm not even going to try. I'm just going to say the guy from Russia. And
Big Tone from Iowa.
I'm just, I was really impressed with his run to make the finals because it was a good bracket. Nobody gave him much of a chance, and he just went out and proved he's ready for the NCAAs. Is not going to be too big for him. Let's put it that way. Because if you go to the Worlds and you make the finals and go through that kind of a bracket, NCAAs isn't going to be too big.
Yeah.
So
6 of the medalists are back: Lilladale, McGowan, Provo, V-Rob, Spratley, Volkman, and then Ventresca was a round of 12er. Zeke Witt's the only round of 16 guy back. Buzakis is back, but there's no way he's going 25 again. So there's 6 All-Americans and a round of 12 guy. I mean, I think you can definitely throw him in with the Nico Rivera's, Zeke Witt's, Trevor Anderson's, Tyler Chappell's, Coda Holman's of the world. I feel like he's in the blood round. Like, you know, I know there's guys like Christian Castillo that didn't wrestle last year that are really good. I feel like he's a blood round guy too. I'm not saying he's going to place, but I mean, if you're a Cornell fan, stock up, right?
Yeah, you got to be really impressed with what he did.
Yeah, stock up. Okay, Aaron Seidel, and there's so many layers to this. 15-4, pinned /12-2, excuse me, 13-2, 10-0 over Moses Mendoza, who represented Mexico and will be at Michigan, and then 7-0 over Asenbek from Kazakhstan. Killing it today, GT. I'm killing it, baby. Okay.
Keep it up.
Seidel, this is such an interesting college weight, right? Because Marcus Blaze takes 4th. We find out later he has the flu. He makes the world team. Seidel takes 3rd, wins U20s. Davino takes 2nd, wrestles Masa Ono in the new Inflict Force, by the way, brought to you by Nike Wrestling, in case, you know, you're into that. And then first is Jax, who was on the world team last year. He's our U23 rep, or no, he sat out of U23, so he's not wrestling.
No.
And normally you would go, oh, Seidel's U20 champ. Like, he's got to be the favorite to win nationals next year. He might be the 4 seed.
Yep.
At the same time, if you're a Virginia Tech fan, this dude bonuses everybody who's not really good. Like, if somebody said he's going to bonus to the semis, and then if he loses, he'll bonus backside semi, and then wrestle for 3rd or 4th, or win and wrestle in the finals, he's going to have 4 bonus wins, in my opinion. Mark, if I set the over-under at 3.5 bonus wins, you going over or under?
Over.
Okay, so 4 bonus wins, all right? That's a minimum of 4 extra points.
Yep.
If he gets a pin in there, that's like a guy that took 8th. That's an extra guy that took 8th. I mean, that's a lot. And his run is super impressive, and he's so good in folk style, like riding and turning. His match with Jackson, the duel last year, was my favorite match of the year, the 10-9 match. The semis obviously were not that close. Jax made some adjustments. But GT, go first here. Thoughts on Seidel's run and maybe implications for NCAA, whatever your thoughts are there.
Well, I think if you look at his, I would say, let's say, tournament run, just in kind of how he got to where he made the world finals, extremely dominant performance.
Yeah.
Like, in qualification round, he had the athlete from Iran, and I think that was the most points he gave up the entire tournament, was in the opening round, which was only 4, and he still teched him.
That is factually correct, yes.
So I think from the standpoint of what he did at the World Championships, and once again, I don't know his pedigree, you know, for like cadets and juniors and all this other stuff, when it comes to his international prowess, but I did watch him this year in college, and that dude is a monster. And one of the probably the best collegiate matches at that weight class was Jax versus Seidel in the duel, which was super close, right? And I think it gives him some more, let's say, name recognition heading into the collegiate season, where, once again, I think you're going to be circling Virginia Tech as a very, very, very good dual team. And then wherever he winds up in the lineup and who's going up against him, that weight class continues to be intriguing. as we watched it last year as one of the most dynamic weight classes in the nation. Hence why it was, the last match of the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
And just the wrinkles that will happen with, the Blaze, Jax, Seidel, Davino foursome there with international implications. So it's going to be awesome to see those four guys. And I think for Seidel, he made the most of his opportunity on the U20 World Team and comes away as, he's the man. He's the man to beat now.
Yeah. Mark, before I get to you, there's GT said a couple things there, but one of them is I feel like if you had to pick four guys to make the semis in any weight right now next year, the NCAA, that's probably my pick. Like, I think that's going to be the hardest for somebody to crack. Okay, now somebody may not go the weight. Here's one of the things GT said last week. Can he make it all year? He was cutting his rear end off. Like, he was on the treadmill, the old bundled up thing, or the elliptical rather, or bike rather. So just that's one thing. GT mentioned, hey, does he go 41? Does Bo go 49? Does Caleb go 57? Does Guy go 65? Like what happens with that's one thing. And then the other thing, which is super intriguing to me, is where do these guys go for Olympic weights? Because GT mentioned they're going to be in this weight class. And then you think about it, like, I don't know if I said this on the air, but I heard from a very reliable source, Jax is going down to 57 kilos, which was shocking to me. But the person that told me this, I think Mark, you teased me, so maybe it was on the air, is never wrong. Okay. I think Blaze is going up. Okay. I think Seidel would have to go up, which would put Seidel, Bo Bassett, and Caleb Henson all at the same weight class on the same team, Olympic year. And I think Davino goes down. Like, he's small. Like, I think it's a hard cut for him, but I think he can make it. So, maybe he can't. Maybe he's going to be Buzakis and it's terrible, but I think he's going to try. He's really good. We'll get to the RAF match, but Masaono didn't take him down. So, Mark, your thoughts here on any of the stuff tied to Seidel, at least a little bit, your thoughts on the run he made, and then we can talk about anything else.
Yeah, impressive. Probably in my opinion, the second best performance on the U.S. team.
Who is the best?
Boyle.
I thought the same thing. I was just curious.
Technique-wise, Seidel's better because he stays in such great position, can score from everywhere. Where Boyle, he just breaks you. Russia, I don't know what they're going to do with that 97-kilo guy. I don't know how you walk back in the country after absolutely just laying on the mat most of the third period and just giving up, quitting.
It's a very interesting thing tied to that. And GT, you've been around this a lot, so I would trust you to validate what I was told. Andy Rovat told me that a lot of these countries actually look down on America for winning matches with cardio, that they look at it more of an art and skill and not as much of a fight, and that it should just be who's more skilled. There's a second part of that I think is interesting. Like a couple of these guys, like in one of Ryan Burton's match, I think for third, like he got 4-pointed early. Sinclair got 4-pointed early. And I think Americans know I can run this guy down. I can get him in the second period. I can get him in the last 90 seconds of the match. Where if you take Sinclair, and if Rocco Welsh or McAnally or Ferrari were to go take down and even two near fall, be up 5-0. I think the American doesn't trust that the other American's going to melt down cardio-wise. But I feel like some of these international guys, and I don't want to say it, they might be better than us in the first 30 seconds. Like they might just have more explosive techniques early, and these Americans just wear them the hell down. Like GT, like Mark said, they had to drag that. They had the Russian. When we get to 65, Bassett's guy collapsed. after the match twice.
Yeah.
So am I crazy about this, GT, or am I kind of right, or what do you think?
I think it's very hard to put things into generalizations when it comes to a very much individual sport. I think one of the things that I think you see from maybe some international athletes is there's a little bit, I would say, let's say a slower of a pace, and sometimes there's more bursts into scramble positions or to get a takedown in a short amount of time, where let's say Americans have a little bit of higher pace car when it comes to like just from start to finish. Once again, you talk about somebody like Bo Bassett, where his style is very much aggressive, hand fight, high pace. I mean, that's not new to wrestling. I mean, there's a lot of guys that internationally have done that. And I think if you want to go back and look at a lot of these other, I would say, Olympic and world champions at any of the age group categories, there's a lot of dudes that wrestle with that kind of style. And I don't think that's necessarily specifically an American style, but I think it's more predominant in American wrestling than it is in other places. So I think when you look at somebody that, and once again, I think this is also the knock on some of the Americans in general, like is, we'll gas you out, we may lose, but guess what? That dude is broke in his next match because then they lose, right? So you gas out the athlete in the quarterfinals and he goes to the semis and he is dog tired. And then all of a sudden he loses and then we're out of the tournament.
That's the exact thing that happened with Zane and the Cuban the year I did the World Championships in 2019. And Rovat said that. He's like, well, we're screwed. And I'm like, that guy's really good. He's like, he can't walk. He's going to have to wrestle in 50 minutes and he can't walk, like he's too tired. And that's what you also forget about when you're Americanized. When you go to these big tournaments, it's like front side, backside, front side, backside. When you go to these international tournaments, it's front side, front side, front side. Till you hit the finals because you don't even know who's in the backside. Mark and Grant have to make the finals so then we know which guys they beat, who the guys they beat are the ones in the backside. Because I lost in the semi, all my guys are out. So it's interesting. And the point you said, GT, about that style has been around a long time. Like Metcalf was a guy, and that was sort of the argument against that style back then was like, hey, at the senior level, you can't do this. These guys are too good and they'll outskill you. And as great as Metcalf was, he wasn't like a multiple-time world champion or anything like that. So thoughts. That's a thought on it. Okay. 65, Bassett, 11-0, pin, 12-2, pin. It was 2-2, pinned Umarov of Russia, and then beat Aseto from Japan 8-2. And that was actually a pretty fun match, but there wasn't a lot left in the tank. And then there were pictures posted later where the Japanese athlete passed out as he walked off of the mat and then passed out after the victory stand. So turned out he was okay. He fell one time right next to Jaden, and Jaden was like, didn't see it coming and didn't catch him. But, Bo did both things, and that's 143, so it feels like he wants to go 41. Virginia Tech's got some first world problems, Mark, in those weights. And like GT suggested last week, maybe it's Dylan Campbell at 33 and everybody bumps. I could also see Seidel being on a pitch count this year, right? Like with no more red shirts, maybe Dylan Campbell wrestles a lot and Seidel wrestles the big matches.
Yeah. Bo did both things. I think he got taken down quarters, semis, finals. So he was losing in the first period in each one of those matches, and then comes back and runs the gauntlet. Doesn't wrestle perfect is what I really like about him. He's just so aggressive. He keeps coming at you, keeps putting pressure. He's got a wicked, snap, go behind. He's just so good at it. And his parterre has improved from what I've seen over the last couple of years. He was getting gut-wrenched and giving up 4 and 6 points and still trying to run people down, but it was a lot harder for him then. Now he's, he may give up a takedown, but he's not getting turned, which is, you tell that he's went to work on it and improved in those areas. So, yeah, he's impressive. Virginia Tech's going to be really, really good. I don't think people understand. They're definitely going to be a trophy team next year, without a doubt. And I can only say that about 2 other teams. So
I don't disagree with that, but I would say, I think there's only 2 slots left.
Well, I think they're the leader at the number 3 slot.
Them in Nebraska is very interesting, right? They have, because realistically, Virginia Tech didn't place at 25 last year. They didn't place at heavyweight last year. They didn't place at 97 last year. They didn't place at 84 last year. They didn't place at 74 last year. They didn't place at 65 last year. Okay, so that's a lot of guys to not place. And Bassett hasn't placed yet. Okay, I think we all think he'll place at the worst.
Yep.
Okay, but they have a lot of blood round guys that are going to, I think we think Seidel places, Bassett places, Henson places, Guy places. Okay, those are their 4 locks to medal, right? But they could have 4, they could have 8.
Yep.
Nebraska feel like they have more lock All-Americans, but some of those guys score less bonus points, right?
Correct.
Like V-Rob, Trelli, Minto, Jacob Van D, McDaniel. There's those guys. And Jacob Van D and McDaniel are guys we kind of are surprised they keep placing every year. We should probably stop being surprised. But they have more, I think, lock All-Americans, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Echemendia, I don't know. He feels like he's pretty likely. Ziola feels like he's pretty likely. But then Virginia Tech has pretty likely guys. I think those are your 4 teams. And if somebody, if you had to pick 4 teams, I think when we pick 4 teams in November, those will be the 4 teams we pick.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'll keep it moving here because we're a half an hour in and we're at 4 weights or 3 weights. Landon Robideau, 12-1, 13-5/pin, 7-4 over the Russian, loses to the Iranian 3-2 in a really close match, and then beats Tabaldiev, Tabaldiev. Is that right, GT?
I'm gonna pull it up. Keep talking.
Okay, he wins 3-1 for bronze. He looked really good. The Iranian is tough. I think Rabideau might be one of the best wrestlers in the country when he has the lead. Okay, and he's a major factor. 157. He's the defending champ. He avenged losses. He avenged the Larkin loss. He avenged the Antrell Taylor loss. He avenged the PJ Duke loss. He may or may not have 1 or 2 of those guys to wrestle again. Not all 3. I know Larkin's never making 157 again. He's more likely to wrestle the smaller Larkin than he is the bigger Larkin at 157. I know that much. I don't know. There's a lot to discuss there. I kind of want to get to some of the guys that won golds. Are we okay with that?
Yep.
Okay. Jaden James, 11-0, 7-5 over Alessio Parrington, which is very interesting. Alessio Parrington was his teammate at Del Barton. Shout out Del Barton. Shout out Brian Stoll. Okay, awesome. Awesome thing. They know each other really well. Alessio's the big brother. He's the older guy. He had a year at Finger Lakes. So another Cornell guy in the mix, and he ended up losing for bronze, but, top 5, tied for 5th. Okay, then 10-0, 13-4, and we've talked the Yoshida match to completion, but super interesting what Jaden James is going to do. I've heard he's from a very reliable source. He's not deferring. So I don't know how that works. Somebody was posting a video how good Tyler Kasak was, and you kind of forget he killed everybody. The loss to Joey Blaze was a major upset. He was probably the favorite to win nationals that year. And so they have 2 guys that would be a top 2 or 3 ranked guy at 57. They have the number 1 guy at 65. I think the Levi Haynes thing has a lot to do with how this plays out, right? Which we'll get to. But if Levi Haynes isn't back at 74, Is it Asher Cunningham? Is it Will Henkel? Does Messenbrink move up? Does that help Jaden James? Does Jaden James move all the way up? Like, does PJ Duke go to 65 and Messenbrink, or Jaden James move up and one of them is out? Like, they got good problems. Really good problems, Mark. I see you nodding.
Yeah, well, you were going through that spiel there with all those guys, and nobody said PJ Duke.
I did.
You kind of, I know you did, but when we started, it was Kasich, it was James, it was the best guy in the country, Messenbrink, and then Levi Haynes. And I think PJ Duke, pound for pound, maybe number 2 or number 3 in the country.
No, I said like at 157, he comes back, Penn State would have the number 2 ranked guy in either one of them. I mean, you have to give Landon Robideau the one preseason rank. He earned it. He won it when it counted. It doesn't matter what you thought of that semifinal call. He got it done.
I'm not sure. Do you think PJ can even make 57 again? I mean, he's a big boy. I don't know. What do you think, Grant?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting how preseason will lean out a lot of people too. I mean, once again, guys, it's summertime for a lot of these folks. I mean, school just started maybe, I think, on Monday. So
yeah.
I think when you also have a place like Penn State where your postseason for all of the international guys is approaching, because we just had U20s, we're going to have U23s in October. We're going to have seniors that basically tally into that folk style season. It'll be interesting to see like kind of how that stuff kind of either leans itself out or if they stay up or stay down. I think, Mark, you're 100% correct. I think right now there's just problems that are just too good to like fathom, right? Like, hey, I don't know. Do you want to be a national champ up weight, or do you want to be a national champ at the weight class that you were currently at? Because I think it's legitimately just pick and choose who you want to be able to go. Because any of those guys could be top 3 in the nation. Any of them, in my opinion.
They're all so good, Okay, so I also think, and I just mentioned him in passing, but again, Cornell's kind of got this weird team where they massively underperformed last year. It's not a trend, but if you ask Cornell, they're like, we massively underperformed. We had 2 number 2 seeds that DNP'd, but Cortez is a new addition. Parrington's a new addition. And those are guys, if you're top 5 in the world, he's a 165 pounder, I believe. I don't think he'll go 57. So you have 4 All-Americans returning there in Messenbrink, Ruiz, Blaze, and Hepner. I think Ladarian's somebody that nobody thought would be around to 16. So he's probably the next guy if people had to pick, and somebody would probably pick him above maybe all those guys except Messenbrink, even if he lost to Ruiz. But there's 5 sort of studs there that I don't even know if Hepner feels like a big lock, but 4 guys that are really, really good. It feels like Parrington might be a blood round guy or maybe a little better for Cornell. So that's good news for them. Okay, Ryan Burton. He got pinned in the first round and then came through the backside. I'm sorry, no, he pinned. He pinned the Georgian 1-3-1, lost to the Japanese wrestler 5-2, and then beat. You didn't. Hey, by the way, did I get the other name right, GT, or we're on the fact check, or are you just going to give me credit for it?
No, it's good.
Okay. This one is Ismail Zada of Azerbaijan. He beat him 10-4. And I think Burton is somebody that we've seen, and that weight's a little wide open. Minto was second, but then Steed, Danny Wask, Manzanona, MJ Gaitan, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, Simon Ruiz, Singleton, Colin Kelly, Carter Schubert, but Schubert's going down. Facundo, but he may not be in the lineup. Then you add in Lorenzo Norman, you add in Gabe Arnold. Mark would kill me if I didn't mention Gabe Arnold. But it feels like Burton could sneak in there. A really good tournament for him. Aiden Sinclair, 12-2, 4-4, unbelievable draw and match he had. 7-6 over Okazawa, and then 8-4 over Mukatov in the finals. Mark, I agree with you that Boyle, maybe I'd say most dominant performance. I think Sinclair had the hardest run to win it. Would you agree with that?
I would. It was
GT.
And he did not get good draws anywhere. Yeah, I mean, he had to take out basically the cream of the top all the way through his side of the bracket.
Yeah.
So,
GT, you know these guys.
His comeback in the semis, if you haven't watched it, was phenomenal.
He was down 6-0, right? And just ran him down to 7 points. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
And he got tossed for 4, I think. So what people don't understand is you got to get to 7, because if you don't get a 4, you're going to lose the tiebreaker.
Yeah.
And as somebody who's done a lot of play-by-play, that's sort of the first thing that goes through your mind, right, Grant? You're like, okay, if you're in a corner or if you're the athlete or you're doing commentary, like, okay, I got to get a 4 or I got to get to 7. And, if the guy gets 1, now you got to get to 8, so it's really, really tough. These guys, the international guys, better than Mark and I do. How epic is this run by Sinclair?
Well, I mean, Sinclair he's a humongous up-and-coming athlete in the U.S. So I think, once again, he's had some success at the senior level, and now you see him at the U20 level, and you're like, oh, this guy's he's a monster. He's already, competing with the very best in the United States, which is proven to be one of the best freestyle locations in the entire world. But if you go and look at his run, the gentleman from Kazakhstan that he wrestled first round got 5th last year. Then he wrestled the gentleman from Iran who got 7th last year, who was a U17 world champion. And then go on and go on and go on, and it just gets tougher from there. So you're talking about guys that are not just a one and done type athlete for their respective countries. These are guys that are on their way to becoming, the heir apparents in those different countries as they have continued youth success. So to Mark's point in that semifinals match, running down that gentleman and basically storming back, those are the epic matches that that are always going to stick with you. I think those are when your chips are down and you find a way to win. Just shows what kind of an athlete Sinclair is, and we're going to see a lot of them in the NCAAs. But I think the international side of his career is blossoming. He's a talented young man.
He's got a ton of composure. That 184 weight feels a little like 133, that if you penciled in Rocco, McAnally, Sinclair, and Ferrari in the semis, last year didn't work out because of the seeding, but those are your top 4 picks. And Mark, I don't want to quote you incorrectly, but I think last year your pick before you saw the draw, which I think was terrible, just make that guy the freaking 5 seed instead of the 6 seed and get it right. Was your pick was Sinclair, because I think, and I agree with this, so maybe it's me and I'm channeling you incorrectly, but hey, they're all going to make the semis. They're all going to have to win 2 hard matches, and I'm going to pick the guy with the most offense. Am I close on that?
100%.
All right, 100%.
I picked Sinclair to win it just because he had beaten McAnally pretty convincingly in the duel and took him down 3 or 4 times.
He took him down 3 or 4 times, really?
Yeah, it was 7-2.
Keep going.
No, 9-2 or something like that.
Okay.
He looked really, really good. And he was just better on his feet. He's hard to score on. He scrambles really well. So, but I mean, what a run. What a tournament for him. I'm so happy for him.
He was super impressive. I'm trying to get back to that real quick here. That was at the duel, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Beat him 6-3.
2 takedowns. Okay.
Maybe. I think it's probably 1 takedown and escapes and penalty point, but either way, he beat him. He got the only takedown. So super tough. Here's what's crazy. We have guys like Sinclair and guys like Seidel that aren't going to be the preseason number one, and they shouldn't be.
Agreed.
I mean, they shouldn't be. You know, Matt Kennelly, by the way, beat Bo Nickel. We'll probably get through those results quickly. Bo Nickel's cardio did not look like Bo Nickel. He just looked very different.
And remember, last year at U20s, McAnally won this weight.
That's right.
So it's kind of neat that, you know, wow, they got another one just as good.
Yeah.
You know, coming in to the, you know, for the U.S. So
Jimmy Masney, win 6-3, lose 6-2, win 22-10. That we have to talk about that match, and then beats Yurgali of Kazakhstan 3-2. Jimmy Masney was down, I think, 10-1, something like that. I think it was 10-1, and got a takedown and trap arm gut this dude. Well, 10-3. So the final score was 22-10, 19. 9 guts. 9 guts. They threw a brick, lost. That's how it ended up 22-10. It was unbelievable. And what was great, GT, was the camera was where Chris Perry is in the background. And he's doing what any of us that have ever coached have done, is doing the shoulder lean and the wiggle. And, you know, like, it's like, you got it. You got, you know, it's like, and we've all wrestled. You don't need to tell the guy he's got it. But it's almost like you can't believe, like, we were almost out of this match and now we're going to win this match. So ton of guts by Jimmy Masney. And I think we've all said this. Sometimes it's harder to take third than take second, because, you know, you have to win some matches where you know you can't win. And he won one where he gutted it out, you know, 3-2, and then one where he just got to a position and took advantage of it. So, you know, awesome display by him. I know Iowa State's super high on him. Michael Boyle, 10-0, 13-2, pin while up 9-0, and then 12-2 over Sanakiev. Am I saying that right? Or Sanakoev? Which way is it, GT?
Well, I'm pull it up. Keep talking.
I think it's Sanakova.
I immediately think it's the other one based on what Mark.
Senakoyev.
Sanakoev. There you go.
We're
Okay.
both wrong.
Yeah, shocking. Shocking, Mark, that I agreed with you and was wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, but here's what I want to talk about Boyle. Boyle's one of these guys that I think has flown under the radar because he hasn't, to my knowledge, been on a bunch of world teams. I watched him wrestle at US Open. He looked really good, but he's like boringly good. And I mean that as a massive compliment. Like, he's super fundamental, just really good position, really strong, but he doesn't break kids in America like he did over there. I mean, like, Mark was trying to say they were going to revoke that guy's passport or visa when he tries to get back into Russia. But I think he's in the conversation. Drayshawn, Merrill, Ziola. I mean, he's a year behind them. Well, he's 2 years behind Ziola, but he's a year behind Merrill and Drayshawn. And Sahakian is, you know, they're all 1 or 2 years older than him. I don't want to go through every single guy. But Mark, you were super impressed by Boyle. I mean, I feel like he's right there, right?
Yeah, I mean, what is he, 6'5"?
How we live it.
He's really tall. He's got a frame to put on the weight, and he's got a great motor, good defensively, but can attack. Kind of sloppy at times, but he's doing it while these guys are tired, so it makes it a little bit easier to recover if you don't hit the perfect shot. And just, I mean, he just absolutely embarrassed the guy. And in the first 3 minutes of the match was very competitive. You know, both guys were kind of pushing and shoving and, you know, doing little things. And I think it was a step out and the other one was a clock violation. They didn't score. So, you know, I think it was 1-1 after the first. Is that correct?
I think so. I mean, I haven't looked at the box score, but
then it just got flat. I mean, I thought the official was just waiting for this guy to get up every time he got taken down in the last 3 minutes. They were just kind of like, come on, let's go. And that guy didn't want to get up. You just
Well,
want to.
that's an interesting thing. It didn't come into play, but they're supposed to caution and won that.
Yeah.
But the referees don't want to make that call. I mean, but the other problem is if you don't make that call, you're rewarding the person for poor conditioning, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So, okay, Drayshawn at 285 or 125. I'm sorry, 125, which is 275. 10-0, 10-0, 10-0, 4-1, and then 5-3. I'm assuming you watched this match, Mark, because this was the one that would have put it at 5 golds, just because it was literally the last match at the tournament.
I did.
And he may or may not be from Fort Dodge, Iowa, which you may or may not have coached at.
Yes, may or may not have.
We cannot validate either one of those things, but theoretically, they might be true.
I think I coached his dad, so does that count?
That may or may not be true. You actually coached his dad?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay. I didn't.
So
All this stuff is true. We're just joking. But like, Drayshawn's a Fort Dodge guy. Mark's a Fort Dodge guy. So
actually, the guy who wrestled was really good from Iran. What was his name? So I can say it.
oh my God. I was going to get out of here. Nazad.
Yeah, Nazad. I like it. I like the name. I think he's going to be the heir apparent to who they have now.
Zari.
Yeah, Zari. Very athletic, hard to score on. You get in on a leg and he's kick it out quicker than I'll get. And Drayshawn was able to get in.
Sorry to interrupt you. One time we got the leg, Nazad bumped him and put Drayshawn on his back going out of bounds. And you thought for sure Drayshawn was going to get 1. Instead, it was 2 the other way. That's a 3-point swing, and the match was 5-3.
Yeah, Drayshawn took him down right at the end.
Yeah, but he had. That's the difference, the cushion, right?
Yeah.
Like if it was not 5-1 and instead it was 4-3, maybe he doesn't give up the takedown. He gave up the takedown because he could, but the level of stress. Anyway. So this is my take. I think Drayshawn's going to be awesome. I think there's 2 caveats. Number one, which is not his fault, is he's got to stay healthy and he's had surgeries.
Yep.
Okay. Number 2 is right now he could develop more offense from the tie-ups. Okay, like in my mind, I'm imagining Drayshawn wrestle Boyle in 2 years. Okay. Because I feel like that match is going to happen at some point.
It will.
Well, God forbid, I hope they don't try to cut Boyle to 197. Like, please don't do that. Please put that kid on full feed. Okay. Yep. I'm just saying that 97's 213 ballpark is just so people understand. Okay.
Yep.
No need to cut that kid down 15 pounds, put 24 pounds on him.
Yep.
Get him to 235, 240, and he'd be a monster. That's the kind of guy in JUCO we'd all want. Give us the biggest 215 pounder that had 1 or 2 skill sets and beat all these the old school heavyweights that had slow feet. Drayshawn and Boyle to me is fascinating. It's almost like Drayshawn and Merrill, right? Like when it's in space, it's all Drayshawn. When it's in ties, it's all Merrill. I think Boyle has better lateral movement. I think he has better balance than Merrill. I think Merrill's got straight on power that might be a little better. He's got that helmet headgear, which I think is an advantage, honestly.
Yeah.
But I think Drayshawn's going to have to learn how to win those hand fights. I also think Drayshawn's really hard to ride because he's so tall and his limbs are so long. Like if he quad pods, I mean, I think you'd have to do the pick the leg up, run him out of bounds, drop to the leg, take the stalemate, drop to the leg, take the stalling, and then hopefully ride him for 4 more seconds. I think that's how you get 30 seconds out of a ride. Like you have to break it down into like 4 segments of 7 or 8 seconds. And I know that's super nerdy and technical, but that's, I think, would have to be done.
I think the thing that I noticed from this match, and this is just my opinion, and I think Flo had said something similar to it, but it's kind of what I thought. I think if they wrestled this tournament in 2 weeks, Drayshawn would beat him just because he's so good at picking up where he made little mistakes. He can change a little bit here, change a little bit there. I mean, he never came close to really giving up a takedown unless it was off, that single leg where he got taken down. And I thought he was going to get one and try to do something and got bumped back. But I think his upside is probably better than the Iranian's upside because I think he has more to work with physical wise.
Yeah, sometimes your guy loses the match and like, okay, I like us better for the future. And I think that's another way of saying the same thing. The other guy won fair and square this time.
Yeah,
though.
without a doubt.
And maybe if they wrestle tomorrow, it's different. But I'm just saying this time he didn't adjust well enough in match.
Correct.
Okay, and that's a real skill.
It is.
It's a real skill. And he'll only get better at that. Okay.
And that's the problem with these young kids is that Drayshawn, I don't think he ever lost a match from his sophomore year to his senior year. And he ran through Fargo's both systems. And it really wasn't that close until he wrestled Merrill from, California. And those were always really good matches. But he had like a 7-1 record against Merrill. And we know Merrill's,
the guys that gave him trouble were the Marisolas, but they were 2 years older. And that's when Drayshawn was like a freshman or sophomore. But like I was at the state finals and he 7 takedowns to get a tech in the first period, 21-6. And so I think the point you're making, which if it is, I 100% agree with, is it's hard to learn how to adjust in match if you don't ever have to adjust in match.
Yep. And that's something he's going to learn, and he's in the probably, my opinion, the best heavyweight room in the country.
Really? Better than Penn State?
For heavyweights, yes.
Okay.
I'm talking about they have a returning guy that got 4th, and they have Captain America there training with every day.
Yeah. I'm not
what
saying
other room has that kind of heavyweights? Penn State doesn't.
They have Jake Turner to work out with. They have Kale Sanderson to work out. Okay, if you mean active guy.
They have the big guy to work out with where you got to feel that pressure and stuff and learn to defend that.
It's 1A and 1B. Okay, it's fine. Like I think Jake Varner's probably pretty big, and I think Kyle Snyder's probably pretty big, but pure heavyweights, guys away over, can't make 213. That's fine. Yeah. And the other interesting thing is, will Drayshawn start this year?
That's a big question mark. Who knows?
Okay, so that's a good segue because we have to get to this designated student athletes thing. We have to get to this 5-for-5 thing, and we have to get to RAF very quickly. Designated student athletes. A designated student athlete is an NCAA athlete protected from hard roster caps. They apply to, it says wrestlers, players who are on a 24-25 roster or who were recruited for 25-26 before April of 25. So this is why when Oklahoma State posts 33-man roster and people freak out, they have 3 DSAs on their team, and one of them is obviously Connor Doucette. Okay. So this will be a phase out. Okay. So that's important for people to understand. Okay. The second thing that we need to get to very quickly, but it's ongoing, is this 5-for-5 thing and the Levi Haynes Mendez ruling. So a judge originally said all these athletes could compete. Another judge said they couldn't compete. Mark asked me off the air. This is just whoever you ask, and the NCAA is going to ask the person they think is going to win, and these other people are going to ask the person they think they're going to win. It's almost like being a liberal or a conservative. You can find somebody to agree with you. You just have to know who to ask. Okay? Not talking politics, but I'm just saying we both know I can talk to somebody that will agree with me or disagree with me. What I've read and being told is these athletes would have to file individual things because of the class action. I got a message here. I want to read it. I said, will there be another legal filing? I feel like for football and basketball, there will be. I think so, not 100%. Hopefully we'll get more info from the attorneys. So what's interesting about this is football starts in like this weekend, right?
Yep.
Okay. What's the ruling? And I heard some guy got cut by the Cleveland Browns and went back to LSU.
Yeah.
So.
And they're going to let him?
Sorry?
And they're going to let him play, I think.
I don't know. That's the problem, right? And like, we're recording this Tuesday. He might be good on Tuesday or not good on Tuesday and be the opposite on Thursday. Here's the other thing that's the hypocrisy of all this. If you're good at sports, application deadlines don't apply to you. Fees don't apply to you. Eligibility doesn't apply to you. Going to class doesn't apply to you. And I'm sorry, but that's just the truth. Like they're making sure these kids pass. Like Mark, you and I used to recruit kids that couldn't make it through the clearinghouse. It doesn't happen anymore. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
They're all getting grades and they're all either getting their test scores worked out, I'll just say that, or they're applying to schools that don't require test scores, standardized test scores. Okay, I think the last thing that we needed to get to was RAF. I watched this. You know what? Let's just talk about RAF next week because
sounds good.
We're at an hour and it was a full card and there was a lot to digest. And
hopefully I'll get to see some of the matches because I haven't seen them yet.
Yeah. All right. I think GT's doing important things. We love having them on. Mark, glad you got to see the family this past weekend. Yep. In touch with all the boys. Our fantasy league is starting up again soon here. So we appreciate everybody watching and listening. Please subscribe. Please tell your friends. We'll see you all next week.